Hi, everybody. So happy to be back here again with everybody. And we're going to welcome you to the SEMA Conversations, our new podcast series where we invite members of the SEMA community to share their personal stories and valuable advice on how to achieve success and get inspired to thrive. I'm Tess Labella. I'm on the advisory board here at SEMA. I'm a SAG-AFTRA member. I'm an author and a voice actor. And I'm here today with Managing Director of She Inspires Me and the SEMA Academy, Marina Verba. Hi, Marina.
Hi, Tess. So nice to be with you today. Thank you
I
for
know
having me.
I'm very excited. Today's a very special day, as you know.
Indeed.
We have Dexter Moscow. That doesn't even need an introduction. Hi, Dexter.
Hi, Tess. Hi, Marina. Yeah, you're right. My name is a bit like that. People often say to me, "Is that your real name or a stage name?" But Dexter Moscow is my real name, and my parents obviously had a sense of humor.
Dexter, I want to tell everybody about you before you introduce yourself, if you don't mind. Sure. I'm so excited to let everyone hear some of the very important things that you've done, but some of them are that you were hired as a freelance to coach and train the guests on QVC, the wonderful shopping center that people are very addicted to and very addicted to you. And also, I can't wait to hear about your book, Stand Up and Sell, and all the other little goodies that you have in your toolbox today. So can you share a few things with us?
With pleasure, Tess. Thank you. Wow, that was a bit of an introduction, so no pressure there. Yeah, I indeed was brought in to QVC originally as a guest presenter. So I appeared in front of the camera. And very soon after that, they said, would you do a bit of training? Because they knew a little bit about my background. And so I started working behind the scenes with people who'd never presented on television, let alone their products on television. So I created, and you mentioned Stand Up and Sell, that evolved out of my coaching on QVC. So for 16 years, I was their chief trainer, helping people to sell their products. And as I said, selling millions of pounds worth of products for other clients and companies as well. So it was a very exciting time. It was a lovely time. Worked with some wonderful people.
Did you write the book while you were doing the actual coaching and training? Is that what inspired you to write the book, Stand Up and Sell?
No, it came afterwards. After I left QVC, I realized that, and I would say this, that in this pandemic situation where the main means of communication is through this television screen, or we call it a computer monitor, I realized that people needed those same skills in their business life. And so all of the things that I had taught others, the processes, the frameworks to present ourselves in the most effective way, I started teaching in the corporate environment, which I now do. And that's how the book evolved.
I see. And how do you actually do it? What is the formula that you use to inspire people? Like, how do you do it?
I think, and you would understand this, Tess, because you are a voice artist and an actress, you would know that it's not about us. It's about our audience. And it's about thinking, what is it that they really need to know that can help them, that enhances their life, that enhances their experience? So my first advice is, don't think about what you do. Think about what you have done for others, and then tell the stories. And certainly you would appreciate the value of storytelling.
Absolutely. Well, that is one of the things that what attracted me to voiceover work, is because we are all storytellers. But I love that you incorporate that very important ingredient in your coaching. And a lot of people leave that out.
Yeah.
Also, Dexter, who inspired you? Was there somebody that you modeled yourself after, or a member of the family?
None of the members of my family ever stood in front of a television camera. So I think many years ago, I worked in advertising. And in fact, and perhaps I shouldn't say this, but I
No,
worked
say
for
it, say it.
I was employed by a mafia-owned advertising agency.
Anybody in my family, maybe?
It could be. They were one of only 2 American ad agencies that came over here.
Wow.
And I
That's-
worked with some amazing people. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. I just said that that's fascinating, that they did something good.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Although there were some interesting stories that came out of that.
Oh, Can you
Working
share
with
one?
some-
Can you share
oh,
one?
Well, and I think this is well documented.
Okay.
They were doing a pitch for Quaker Oats, the cereal.
Sure.
Yes.
And they had it hadn't gone very well at all. And we were around the periphery of what was a central boardroom. And we heard shouting and screaming and some very, very colorful language. And suddenly we heard a bottle being broken.
They were probably
And-
having dinner. No, go ahead.
I wish it was that. It was a champagne bottle that had been smashed. And then one of the and I won't mention names here, but
Sure.
one of them, who had a very Italian sounding name, went for the managing director. And all we saw was him running from the boardroom, holding his arm, which was slowly going red through his shirt. And there had been a very, very bad falling out. So
Oh my God.
Maria,
they were
you're
interesting times.
carrying the title of managing director. Is
I
it still
know.
appealing?
Oh my God. That's so funny.
Well, I must admit that at that time, and as I said, I worked with some amazing talents. One particular guy who then became he was a copywriter at that time, and then became a major film producer, and won some amazing awards. But it created my love of words.
Wow.
And I think that's what has evolved over time, coming full circle. It is coming full circle, because what I did when I worked with QVC and when I coached others on QVC was how to communicate effectively to an invisible audience, because we couldn't see them, we couldn't hear them. And to a great extent, especially when we're standing virtually at the front of a room in a networking situation or pitching to a company, we are selling to an invisible audience. And so that full cycle is what I did for QVC. I now do online. And as you mentioned, I've created an online course, one which is, if you like, the mini course, which is talking about selling in a digital age, or I've coined, I hope it's that coined the phrase, selling in a televisual age, because we are now all broadcasters and we are now all presenters. And the key difference for me of selling online, and I make no apologies for using that word, because effectively, first of all, we have to sell ourselves, is understanding how we communicate with our audience so that they are prepared to listen to us. And the key here is to make the emotional connection. Now, that sounds very strange in a business environment.
This is the course. This is the course that Dexter has created for the SEMA Academy as well, effective video conferencing. So this is the mini course.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, so it's really nuts and bolts of frameworks and ideas of how to create that emotional connection, that engagement, and how we retain our audience so that they will at least listen to what we have to say. So it's very important for me to help people in these very difficult times adapt and do what we think is going to be around for some time. I think people now are involved with how we speak in this environment. Perhaps the change will be that this will be the initial way of communicating. And then if there is some value, mutual value, then we will say, well, let's meet, hopefully very soon.
Absolutely. And I have to say, because I've done this course myself and I've learned quite a lot. And, what I really loved about the course is that you explain, it's like a step-by-step guide on how to present yourself, starting with equipment you need, how to position yourself, lighting, all of that. And it's so important. And plus also obviously the content and delivery, as you've mentioned, how you can engage your audience in, you know, in a way that they will listen to you, pay attention, and hopefully will buy.
Yes. Thank you. I'm delighted you enjoyed it, because the whole purpose of it was that to make it simple. It's not easy, as we know, because we need to understand and we need to create presentations that do engage. But I'm delighted that you found it beneficial, because that was the whole raison d'etre for doing it, so that people will say, I get it. Now I know how I can do it. And if I need to pivot my business, you know, this buzzword that everybody's using, then they have the courage, they have the confidence, and they know what to say in any given situation.
Absolutely. And, you know, also, Dexter, I know that you have a more extended program as well. So maybe you would like to mention a couple of words about this course as well.
Yes, the mini course is, as you say, divided into 3 sections. And that's equipment, content, and delivery. The larger course, which is Stand Up and Sell, although I think it should now be Sit Down and Zoom, because that's the majority of what we do. It's really an extension, an extended course, going deeper into the processes. And, you know, hands up here, I'm very process driven. I find that, you know, if you give somebody a framework, then they can hang their knowledge and their expertise on that framework. And so it's telling stories. A lot of it is the stories that from QVC, some of the fun stuff, some of the understanding of how we use our words, how we use the pace of our voice. And so and understanding personality types as well. So it is, whereas the smaller course is an encapsulation of the ideas, the longer course has a lot of exercises in it. And so it's very interactive. And in fact, I'm making an addition to the longer course. First of all, I was saying that those who bought the course would then be able to have 3 Q&A sessions with me per month. And I'm going to say this, a lot of people buy these online courses, but don't go through them.
That's right.
I don't want that to happen. So what this is a new idea that's just come out, that I will be offering a 6 weeks program included in the initial cost of the course, so that I can work with groups of people to get them to actually do it. And the final part of that course will be for them to present their presentation so that they can do it to whichever groups they want to. So
that sounds amazing, Dexter.
Yeah.
Yes, it's absolutely, it makes sense, because because it is not a notorious fact that people just don't complete them. And so the mini course is available on CIMA Academy website, which is on your screens at the moment. And I believe your extended course is available on your website, isn't it, Dexter? So how can people get in touch with you?
I think the easiest way is to go to the Stand Up and Sell course, the actual website. So that's Dexter, DEXTER, at standupandsell.co.uk.
Perfect. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Dexter.
My pleasure.
Dexter, I have one more question that I'd like to ask.
Yes.
You know, being a voiceover, we were taught that everything has a melody. And one of the greatest things about your voice is that it has this lovely, warm, engaging melody. Tell me the advice that you give to the people that you coach that aren't aware of the melody and are having a struggle trying to find their voice and their melody.
Wow, Tess, you know far more about this than I do, but and thank you for complimenting me on my voice. That's lovely of you. I would say, and you would appreciate this, there is an ebb and flow of voice. And so it's partly understanding how people receive and perceive information. So with that movement, and it's almost not sing-song, but it has the same kind of feeling, so that some people will want you to speak quite slowly and more emphatically, because that's how they receive information. Others will get involved in the excitement of your voice so that you can speed it up. And others will just ponder what you're saying. And so it's understanding the timbre, it's understanding the ebb and flow, and it's understanding how do people receive and perceive information. So don't go for monotone. People will switch off immediately. Offer some highs and lows and use the voice as a singer would be, even if you can't sing.
That's right, because you're right. Not everybody can sing, but if you're trained properly, you're so right. It is the transfer of information, and I've never had it quite described like that. But you learn something every day, and I couldn't wait to ask that question, because no matter how many years you train, you're always looking for new little information to help you strive to be better, strive, inspire, just thrive. So
absolutely.
That's amazing, guys. I just want to add, because I'm a complete beginner in both areas, selling online and plus voiceover craft. And I've been fortunate enough to do both courses, because Tess also has a course with us, voiceover for beginners. And so I have to say, so it looks like really to become successful in presenting yourself online, presenting your brand online, is a combination really of sales skills, of speech skills, and plus melody, the ability to use your voice. And so I think actually our viewers can purchase both courses, and they will be super beneficial, because I think to dive deeper in the subject of voiceover could be quite interesting as well and beneficial.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that the Tess's course is so essential, especially in this medium where we are working, because previously when you meet somebody, there are other body language cues that we pick up. We see how they sit, we see if their arms are folded, then that's a barrier. But when we're in this environment, the only things that we can pick up on, yes, facial expressions, but often we are looking down the throat of the camera rather than looking down to see how people are looking. So the only way that we can connect with them is hearing their voice and hearing the pace and tonality of their voice. And so, with Tess's course, when you really understand how we use our voice to engage with people, that's an essential skill in this new environment.
And also, now all these new platforms like Clubhouse, for example, it's voice-only app. I'm not sure if you, Dexter, using Clubhouse at the moment, but it's quite interesting. So people just create rooms and they talk about, various subjects, and it's voice only. So
yeah, I'm researching it. I haven't yet.
I really recommend to get on it. It's quite fascinating. I mean, the quality of topics, conversations, people, it's just fantastic. I'm enjoying it. I just got on it, so I'm exploring it. I'm very new, but I'm loving it.
We must share notes then. You can be my guide in that.
With pleasure.
That'd be fun. Dexter, what's next? What's next for Dexter Moscow?
Well, it's thank you for asking that, because yes, I am an author. I've written Stand Up and Sell, which now, as I say, should be Sit Down and Zoom, and I'm actually adding a section to it about the pandemic and how we work in this environment. Perfect. But the next, and if I may show it to you, because I'm actually quite proud of this. This will be published in June. It's called A Voyage Without My Father. This is that was an assessment book, and the real book will be published shortly. I lost my dad when I was just 10 years old, and he was very young as well. He's only 45. Thank you. It happened a few years ago now, as you can see.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
It doesn't go away, the pain.
It doesn't go away. And my journey as a 10-year-old was not really understanding what grief was about. And it was only when I was 45 that it really hit me. And it was around about the time that my sons reached the age that I was when I lost my father. And so I went into therapy, and some of it worked, some of it didn't work, but it started a journey for me, the voyage without my father, of identifying therapies that would be beneficial. And so this is a book that has taken years and years for me to have the courage to write it.
Wow.
But it tells my story, so it's autobiographical, but it is a self-help book. And I shouldn't say this with it being International Women's Day yesterday, but it's actually written for men, because I think that we don't know how to be vulnerable. And so I think that, you know, vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. And so what this book does, especially now, I wasn't allowed to see my dad before he died, because kids were not allowed to be in hospital wards at that time. And the horrific fact, and I call it a mental time bomb that's going to explode, countless thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, have been in the same situation, that they could not say goodbye to their loved ones. And I think that this is going to build a lot of regret and sadness, which I think has to have a resource to be able to work through it. And that's why that book is being published now. It'll come out for Father's Day in June.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh,
Dexter.
that's amazing.
Dexter, may I say in the most humblest way, if you believe that, you know, there is an afterlife, I know that your father is looking down on you with such pride. So I say that in the humblest way. You are an incredible man. And I thank you so much for sharing and getting people to be inspired and to do what they were born to do, because a lot of us, we walk around our whole lives not knowing.
That's right.
Thank you, Tess. Thank you.
No, I meant it. Is there anything else you'd like to say to somebody out there that wants to do it and doesn't have the courage to really just communicate and go into this empowering world that you're in, that we're in?
I mentioned this project of positive intelligence, which really is an adjunct to how I coach anyway, because a lot of people, and you've just touched on it, a lot of people are very frightened, very fearful of staring down this one-eyed monster to present themselves effectively. And so what positive intelligence, and it's brought together it's a Stanford University professor by the name of Shehzad Shamin. And last year, I realized that there was an element of my coaching that needed to be improved. And so this mental fitness program it's a 6 weeks program developed by Shehzad and also managed by Shehzad. And we as coaches then bring people together in what they call a pod to help them develop this mental fitness, this mental resilience. So that when those voices in their head say you're not worthy, you are going to make a fool of yourself, and you're not going to be able to complete and compete, then we turn down the volume of these saboteurs. This is what we call them, saboteurs. And there is an online facility to define who your saboteurs are, and then a program that takes us from that to a more sage perspective, which is empathy, exploring, innovation, navigation, and taking action. So that's something that's really fascinating me currently.
Oh, that's amazing.
That sounds amazing.
Tell us the name again. Tell us the name of it again.
It's called Positive Intelligence. You can find it obviously on the internet. Shehzad Shamin, and I'm looking across because I've got his picture in the book in front of me there. And he, as I say, is a Stanford University professor. It's all based on neuroscientific research. So it is validated at the highest level.
Amazing.
And it's a very exciting proposition. And perhaps on another occasion we can talk about that.
Oh, I was just going to say, Marina, can we have Dexter back?
Absolutely. No, this topic is so important these days, and especially this word resilience, because I think, you know, in this time that a lot of people face so much, so much grief, losses, you know, to be resilient and to know how to process your grief, because as you've mentioned, it's not a one-day fix, right?
No.
So it's a long journey, and you should acknowledge and be gentle with yourself, and, you know, extreme self-care, as they say. But then you need to add this resilient training, and then you will be absolutely unstoppable.
It's so true, Marina. What you've said is that it isn't a quick fix. It's something that is a life skill. It is all based on visualization. I hesitate to use the word meditation, because people think that meditation is, you know, closing your eyes and over a long 15 minutes, perhaps half an hour, to meditate down. These visualizations are literally 2 to 3 minutes. And what it does is it maximizes the mental muscle and the synapses of the brain and the neurons of the brain, so that we think in a more positive way. And the key, the sage perspective, is that everything happens for a purpose and is a gift. And often when I say this, people narrow their eyes at me and say, well, how can the pandemic be a gift?
Oh.
And I say,
I think it's a massive gift if you look from a different angle.
I agree, 100%. It's had a million silver linings.
Oh, absolutely. The least of it being that the whole scientific community has come together to create vaccines that will protect us for years to come.
Exactly. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, such a fascinating conversation, Dexter. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been such a pleasure. And we can't wait to invite you again, because you need to educate us a little bit more on this fascinating subject of positive intelligence.
It's been my delight, and thank you so much for taking the time to invite me to have this conversation. I've absolutely loved it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dexter. I can't wait to have you back, and I can't wait to meet you in person. What's your favorite dessert, so I come prepared to give it to you when I meet you?
Well, I'm looking down at my stomach when I say this, but sticky toffee pudding.
Oh, wow.
Really? Well, I'll have to. Do you have a recipe?
I'll bring it with me. I'll bring it with me.
Good. Okay. Thank you so very, very much. Have a wonderful day, and there's more to come.
Thank you. And thank you once again, ladies, for a very fascinating and a lovely conversation. I hope it's been beneficial for your listeners.
It sure has.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Take
Dexter.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.